Hey everybody, welcome back to another video on living in Halifax. Today we're doing a pros and cons video on living in the West End of Halifax. We're right at Flynn Park, one of the many parks in the West End. And again, we're going to go over a couple of pros and cons right now, so stay tuned. All right, so pro number one is going to be in relation to this guy behind me, the Halifax Shopping Centre. The West End has some of the best shopping, available on the peninsula. You've got the Halifax Shopping Centre and its annex, which includes Walmart, grocery stores, liquor store. You've got Zara, H&M, and a bunch of other kind of clothing brands and whatnot in this very large mall. And then you also have Quickpool Road, which runs kind of on the other limit of the West End and is basically the absolute divider of the entire Halifax Peninsula. This has over 100 individual mom and pop shops. It's got some great coffee culture, but you're really close to a lot of the amenities in the West End. So that's a really big pro. You've got the hospitals right outside of the neighborhood. You're close to downtown, and you've got a ton of park space as well. So overall, pro number one is going to be amenities and the shopping of the West End. Okay, so here we are on Quickpool Road, which is a road that's getting a big facelift and really improving kind of the business district of this part of the city. All right, pro number two is going to be the neighborhoods of the West End. When I have buyers that come from outside of the province, outside of the country, or even within Halifax itself, they always talk about the walkability, the kind of community feelings of these individual neighborhoods in the West End. You've got things like Westmount, which I'm in currently. You've got the Euro Streets, which is within the neighborhood. And then you've also got other places like the area in between Quickpool Road and Jubilee Street, which is where I grew up. So the neighborhoods, the diversity of the houses, the colorfulness, and the green streets and the actual feel of the neighborhood are a real draw for people that are looking for a true kind of family neighborhood to live in. So that's pro number two. So here we are in the Euro Street neighborhood. Just a nice mixture of homes, very green streets, and very close to both Quickpool Road and the other shopping district of the Halifax Shopping Centre. Okay, pro number three is going to be your proximity to downtown and basically everything that Halifax has to offer. There's several main arteries that cut through the West End, and a lot of these arteries are actually implementing things like bus lanes and bike lanes, so your ability to get around isn't limited by just having a car. You can obviously take a car. In a lot of cases, you can walk downtown or bike. It really depends on how you're feeling, how the weather is, and what your goal is and timeline, obviously. But you have this proximity to downtown and proximity to a lot of other things. I mentioned hospitals, you've got schools very nearby, and you're also very close to things like corner stores and coffee shops, depending on where you're located in the neighborhood. So you're really close to everything while still having a decent-sized house in a great neighborhood. Here's some of the bike lanes that they've put in on the side of main streets that allow you to kind of get around by bike much quicker. Here's the large Metro Transit terminal in the West End, which has buses that will leave from here and basically go everywhere. There's another view of the Metro Transit Comfort Terminal. Pro number four is going to be your access to green spaces. You've got the Commons behind me, which unites kind of the West End and the North End on one side of the neighborhood. On the other side, you have the Halifax Arm, which offers kind of that access to the ocean that you might need. And along the way throughout the neighborhood, you're going to find small little park spaces, maybe a school ground. You've got basketball courts, playgrounds, tennis courts. So you're really never too far away from being able to get outside and enjoy the outdoors. Here's the Arm, which is kind of the other side of West End. Here's another view of the Halifax Northwest Arm. Okay, moving on to the cons. Con number one, the West End can be home to some pretty busy traffic at rush hour. Now, this is going to be mainly focused on large arteries like Quickpool Road, Connaught, and some of the main busy streets that cut through the West End. But because it's in between the downtown core, and basically the rest of the other side of the city, you're going to get a lot of traffic that cut throughs. When you're inside the neighborhoods themselves, this won't be an issue, obviously, but on those outskirts, or I guess those main arteries, during those hours of rush hour, you may find that it gets a little bit noisy if you're living on those main arteries. Okay, con number 2 is going to be the price points, the barrier to entry in terms of actually purchasing here. The West End isn't the most expensive area in Halifax, but it tends to rank quite highly just due to its proximity to everything, as well as, quite frankly, how beautiful the neighborhood. So that's going to be one of the, cons of purchasing in the West End, is that it's often a higher barrier to entry than a place like maybe the North End, Spryfield, Dartmouth, some of these other outer lying areas that you find throughout the Halifax regional municipality. Okay, con number 3 is going to be the size of the lots. The West End is not like where you might find in the South End or some of the other outer lying areas of Halifax, which tend to have these large treed lots. You'll still find that many West End homes have a backyard and even a front yard, but they don't have that same size plot of land that you might find in either some of the more expensive neighborhoods or some of the neighborhoods that are kind of to the outside of the HRM. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you are shopping in the West End. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video on the pros and cons of living in Halifax. Once again, I'm Tom Moore. I'm with RE/MAX here in Halifax. Thinking about buying or selling, always reach out. We come out with one of these videos every single week, so make sure you like and subscribe to follow along.